Hi, everybody. I'm going to go over these pictures that you saw yesterday. Our goal is to understand post-World War I tensions, and our question is to what extent were the 1920s roaring, or were they just a decade of problems? Our first image here. This is a parade of troops coming home from World War I in Buffalo, New York. What this caused was a rise in unemployment, as tons of people now need jobs back home. African Americans migrate north for jobs. They face job and housing discrimination, and competition for jobs increases between rich and poor and between different races. Image number two. This is a political cartoon that kind of reflects a lot going on today with our president and administration. This is the Teapot Dome scandal in 1922. So basically, President Warren Harding, what he did was he sold public offices for cash, and he actually rented out or leased out the Navy's their oil supply for a bribe. He was not impeached, surprisingly. Image three. This is a picture that actually represents strikes and labor unrest. During the 1920s, we have over 3,600 strikes for wage cuts, protesting long hours, no overtime. And a lot of these strikes are going to be linked to communists and immigrants. People think that they are sowing unrest. Picture number four. This represents radicals and bombings. So during the 1920s, radicals grow in number: socialists, anarchists, pacifists, communists. And a small number, like most of these people are peaceful, a small number actually send mail bombs to the attorney general and the president's administration and try to kill him. Image number five. This is another political cartoon. You notice the word deportation, alien reds. This is the first Red Scare in the 1920s. By reds, we mean communists and radicals. And because they were scared of them, the government put thousands of them in jail. Also, because of this, because immigrants are seen as communists, immigrants are limited from Europe. And the American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU, is founded to fight and help protect these radicals. Image six. This is a picture of Sacco and Vanzetti, two immigrants who were sentenced to death. They are accused of a robbery that resulted in two murders. They both pleaded innocent. Tons of people thought they were innocent and thought that they were being persecuted just for being radicals and immigrants. And they were sentenced to death by the electric chair. So this is like a famous case of discrimination because they're also, immigrants from Eastern Europe. Image seven is a famous picture of, you guessed it, the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan rose to unparalleled heights during the 1920s. Their membership is at 4 million, its highest membership ever. They're seen as very American. One thing to notice, they don't cover their faces anymore. They're public. But also, behind the scenes, violence against whites who support racial equality, non-whites and Jews is on the rise. Image number eight. This is a picture of lynchings that rise during the 20s. Notice how this is in Indiana. It's not in the South. So in 1919, the year after World War I, we have tons of race riots called the Red Summer in cities across America. Hundreds of people are killed, mostly Black Americans. And lynchings, killing someone for a crime that you thought they committed without a trial, happens all over. And notice how these white people treat these as like picnics, as gatherings. To them, they're glad they're there. To them, this makes them feel powerful. Image number nine. This is a famous Black nationalist, Marcus Garvey, of the UNIA, the United Negro Improvement Association. He's from the West Indies. This is in New York. What he preaches is Black pride, black separatism, this idea of let's go back to Africa. Like physically, he gets a ship and tries to bring people back to Africa. And he advocates that black Americans have dignity for themselves, right? Respect. What ends up happening actually is the government goes after him and uses his ship to bankrupt him. And he's put in jail for a couple years. Lastly, image number 10. This is a political cartoon, which has nothing to do with racism. This is about the Scopes trial, science versus religion. Basically, this problem between evolution and creationism, right? Evolution is the idea that people evolved out of monkeys. Creationism is the idea that God created us. A teacher goes against what's the law and teaches evolution, this idea that we come from science, in a public high school. He is prosecuted. He's found guilty. He's got to pay a small fine. But what this does is put this big debate between science and religion on the national stage. So that's it. Thanks for watching. That's our background for the 1920s.